I think I had my own potentially libelous story about Ben Elton, and I'm just working out whether I can tell it. Years ago, there was a show called The Big Gig on in this country, and we hadn't seen the show that The Big Gig was basically an exact copy of, which was called Friday Live. I think it was Saturday Live, and then it became Friday Live, hosted by Ben Elton in England. And it was identical. Even the set was the same. I don't know if there was a parrot spewing ticker tape into the audience, but Ben Elton was on our radio show in about 1989, and he came in and he said, "Look, I've got to go in on this big gig tonight." So he's gone. You know, he wanted us to go in with him because he didn't know anybody, and I went, "This will be great."
Yeah,
because this is a copy.
Because he hasn't seen it.
He hasn't seen it before, and he doesn't know it's an exact copy. And so I'm going, I want to be there when he sees the set, and it was fantastic. We walked into Studio 31 at Elstonwick, and his legs gave way under himself. He just couldn't walk, and he goes, "I'm allowed to use the F word." And my Dave Brainey did earlier. This is what Ben Elton actually said. He goes, "Fucking hell, it's like somebody's burgled my house and set up all my furniture on the other side of the world." He couldn't believe it. And it was just so worth it to be there for him to spot the rip-off. But
you're a great student of the unacknowledged rip-off, aren't you?
Oh, look,
here in Australia. What have been your favourites over the years?
See, I'll get into trouble.
I know that the show that I was on, The Late Report, which embarrassingly sometimes people say, "You were on that late show, weren't you?" No, I wasn't.
Well, no, hang on. It was you were teamed with another show called The Big News.
And we were copying. We were attempting to copy, I know, because we watched the show in the pre-production period.
The Day Today.
Which
has never been screened here. Chris Morris's show. I know the titles were very similar.
It's absolutely worth looking up The Day Today on YouTube and looking for the war episode, which is up there in its entirety.
Beautiful. Yeah, fantastic.
So look that one up.
This all started because Mick Malloy used to live with Russell Gilbert, and Russell Gilbert had an enormous collection of vinyl comedy albums, like definitive, almost every comedy album ever, and Gilbo was known as the joke police. Like, he would always know if someone had stolen a line. He'd tell you, "It's off Shandling, and he'd know what it was stolen from. So we used to joke, and I think this got onto radio, that we were one day going to hold a comedy Nuremberg, where all of the steals would be, people would be brought to account. And it's sort of just gone on. For like 20 years later, people still say to me, "When are you going to have the Nuremberg? When are you and Gilbo finally going to stage the Nuremberg?" Maybe at the Comedy Festival one year.
It'd be a pretty good television show. It'd be gripping.
It'd be a lot of trouble. We'd have to leave the country. Everyone would hate us. But that can happen.
But what about the biggies that aren't even individuals, where the ABC has lifted a show without?
Well, The Big Gig was just a blatant copy of Friday Live, and Good News Week is a fairly transparent copy of Have I Got News for You? This goes on.
Spicks and Specks?
They've sort of taken it in their own direction, but certainly I remember when Spicks and Specks was being started. I was working at the ABC on an ill-fated comedy pilot with Sean McAuliffe and Gary McCaffrey, and a producer came into the room who nobody liked, who was working on the pilot. He didn't work on the series, he worked on the pilot for Spicks and Specks. And word had gone around town that this was going to be slightly based on Nevermind the Buzzcocks. Now, I should point out it's since gone in its own direction. But at pilot stage, anyway, that was the word. And this producer came into the room and nobody was too pleased to see him. And someone went, "What are you doing here?" And this guy went, "I'm working on a pilot for a new music quiz here at the ABC." And then I said, quite sort of nastily, "Oh, you mean the one that's based on Nevermind the Buzzcocks?" And this producer looks at me and goes, "I resent that." And at that point, we both looked down, and he was holding the DVD of Nevermind the Buzzcocks with its distinctive yellow cover. And it was just one of those moments where you look down, and then he didn't say it, but you could tell he was thinking,
"I'll get me coat."
It was a sprung bad situation.
There's the opposite can work as well, because I thought this year with Ed Cavalier's TV birth.
Well, that was licensed. They paid for the rights.
That's what I mean. This is the opposite at play, because surely they didn't need to a clip show where you're playing the bad clips on television each week, can't that just be any old? Why did they have to?
Well, I felt that. I felt that once, to me, it was like, why does it just make it Ed Cavali's clip show?
Yeah.
You know, take the trainer wheels of TV Burp off and just do it your own way. But I guess they paid for the rights. My favourite one of those is American Rosso Unplanned, where an enormous amount of money was paid for the format of a show that has no format, which was Baddiel and Skinner Unplanned, which was made in the UK, where they just sit on a couch, take subjects from the audience and just waffle on.
So isn't that, did they think there was goodwill attached to the word unplanned?
Yeah, so they paid apparently close to $1 million for the format of a show that only has one kind of feature, which they didn't do, which is Baddiel and Skinner will take topics from the audience and say it's beekeeping. They'll write beekeeping on a whiteboard, and then status quo, they'll write that on a whiteboard. And then at the end of the show, they combine all of these random topics into a story. And that was the one thing American Rosso decided not to do. The only distinctive feature of the program they'd paid to buy. So that's, that's different though. That's when someone actually licenses.
This is where you don't copy, you properly license, and then the show didn't really need to be properly licensed because it's a free for all. Well done me on saying exactly the same thing in one sentence.